Joe Samwai, an ex-political prisoner and social peace and justice activist, and head of Rakhine Weekly Report and humanitarian coordination team. He is currently based in the Thai-Burma border after leaving Rakhine State since the beginnings of the 2017 operations. The second panelist I would like to introduce is Ms. Jamai, Vice President of the Kachin Alliance, a community network organization that supports the internally displaced persons, IDPs, and emergency relief efforts, mainly in the Kachin region. Through her role at the Kachin Alliance and in other capacities, she has worked closely with the IDPs and refugee communities for many years and bring a deep understanding of humanitarian needs on the ground. Unfortunately, our original speaker scheduled for today cannot attend. Joining us today is Dr. Ning A. Ko, the Director of Treasures Land Development Association. Her international exposure began with the UNICEF Foundation Creation Workshop in Laos. Dr. Ning's initiative align with the global efforts to foster peace, gender equity, and social cohesion, as reflected in the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal. Harvard integrate peace education and interfaith dialogue, key strategies in conflict solution worldwide. They emphasize on women's empowerment through the vocational training and leadership minus global movement. Our moderators this morning will be the Karen Amis, the managing director of the U.S. Campaign for Burma. Please, Karen, can you please hand over from my part?
Okay, thank you so much, Moo. Thank you to everyone that has joined us today. As Moo had mentioned, our speakers today are Joseon Lang, John Mai, I apologize, and Dr. Ninai Ko. So we'll go ahead and get started with Joseon Lang. Let me pull up your PowerPoint. Okay. So your first question for this morning, or first group of questions in which you'll be discussing in your presentation. So at the end of last year, the UNDP warned of an imminent famine that would hit Rakhine State about midway in 2025. Given the warning from the UN and that we are now within that supposed timeframe, what are the current needs of the displaced community? Additionally, Bangladesh agreed to a UN-proposed humanitarian corridor in April. What are your thoughts on this proposal? And has anyone from Bangladesh or the UN reached out to local actors for the coordinated efforts in implementing this proposal? As well, with the U.S. aid freeze, can you share how the displaced community has been impacted in Rakhine State, and how have local actors been adapting to this aid freeze to continue supporting the vulnerable population?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, let me introduce you again. My name is Joseph Life. I'm from Rakhine State. Currently, I'm based in Thai-Burmese border. So, but I still working. Our organization still working in Rakhine State on the ULA control area as well as SAC control area. So we having mainly we are frontline response in terms of humanitarian response in Rakhine State. So let me a little bit explain about uh, the what happening in the Rakhine State. So as you know that we are facing the ongoing the civil war since 2023 until now. So it's just, more than 2 years, 2 year, even 3 years, more than 2 years or over. And then now we are in the Rakhine State. We have a lot of IDPs, and we have two kind of IDP, newly displaced IDP as well as a birthright IDP, which may mostly the Rohingya, which been in the IDP camps in Sittwe City and Pautor. So in City and Pautor. So currently according to OSHA, we have over newly displaced people since 2023 November. We had 300 over 300,000, and then also in the neighboring states, southern Chin state, it's total we have both Rohingyas, Rakhine, Chin, and other group in Rakhine state. We have 400,000 over according to like OSHA. However, the HTCO, which are under ULAAA, which are a humanitarian coordination team, which are estimate there are over 600,000 IDPs across Rakhine State. So yeah, and then so also very yeah. Let me like briefly say about the UN mandates humanitarian corridor. Actually, it's in good ideas. And also NGO UN are welcome. But as a civil society, I think we also think it won't work because it's very politically sensitive. As you know, in May, like uh, Myanmar SAC like get off the Bangladeshis military attache, and then the Bangladesh recall like its ambassador because Bangladesh keep in touch with the Arakan army. That's why the SAC like get off the Bangladeshi attaché and ambassador. So it's very politically very sensitive. So as a civil society, I believe the mood are not smart move, and a lot of people angry because it gives attention to the Rakhine state. So so I think actually it doesn't really happen uh, because a lot of sensitivity that's why yeah, so it won't happen. It will, I believe that it won't happen even the long term, in the short term we haven't seen that. So and also um so also in the in yeah so also in the so that's why as a civil society that we encourage the local business people to engage in most trade with the Bangladesh, if like local trader have a supply in Rakhine State, as a civil society, as a frontline responder, we are able to deliver humanitarian assistance in Rakhine State. So as a civil society, we encourage to have more trade rather than the humanitarian corridor from Bangladesh to Myanmar. Thank you. Can you move another slide? Yeah, it's okay. Can you go? Yeah, please go ahead. Please go. Yeah. Yeah. So as you know, we have in Rakhine State is facing the humanitarian crisis for not only a few years ago. It's been for decades and decades. And so, but what's the humanitarian assistance currently that we need? We need the Yeah, we need food, NFI, healthcare, and security, which urgently we need because we have 600,000 IDP. So this is urgently that we need. We need and also in Rakhine State compared to other states, like even since November 2003, the Myanmar military are like imposing forecast strategy, so which are blocking the assets, transportation, everything. So uh, in Rakhine State, the food and commodity price are quite high compared to other regions. For example, in Rangoon, like petrol, 1 liter of petrol, like 2,500. In Rakhine State is 12,000. So it's like this. So it's quite expensive, and that time we are also like And the same time, friendly cutting. So in the IDP, the Rohingya IDP as well as Rakhine IDP, they are facing more challenges. So urgently, I'm asking the like urgent is like food and the NFI and also the security, which is very important for IDPs in Rakhine State. As well as finally, let me say about also like um, psychosocial support and also others. Well-being is quite important. People like disabled people and people, elder and women and children in Rakhine State. That is urgently needed. Can you go another slide, please? So yeah, as for long-term assistance, as a civil society, I would like to ask a local local trader to engage more trade with with the migrant from the India and from also the trade for the Bangladesh because it helping the humanitarian assistant in Rakhine State if trader can have like whether it's formal or informal trade in Rakhine State. And also, the to long-term support to Rakhine State, also we need to support inclusive governance because as you know, the ULAA is control the rest of Rakhine State apart from Pew Township. And so if ULA has a better inclusive governance, people live in Rakhine State is more harmonized and they can live much better than before. So the advocacy is quite for long-term is quite important. Also currently, even though the UN cannot like have humanitarian corridor. However, through the local traders, informal trade between the Rakhine and Bangladesh, as a civil society, we still able to facilitate limited humanitarian assistance in Rakhine State. And that is, thank you. That is my briefly respond. Can you go another slide? So yeah, so yeah, also of course like humanitarian U.S. Government fundings also impact on heavily impact on Rakhine State because Rakhine State we have like both twice IDP and they've been since 2012, since 2017. So people suffer a lot because of the funding cut. However, as a local civil society actor, also we have to change our strategy. So now we have we are more coordinated with the civil society among civil society to address humanitarian need. It's a both like IDB and also the Potra IDB. So as a more coordinations, it's like as well as OSHA. OSHA is kind of UN agency. We have to coordinate it. Yeah. So and also as a civil society adult, we have to more coordinate that with the HDCO, Humanitarian Development Coordination Office, which are under the ULAA. So we have to coordinate with them uh, to like deliver the humanitarian assistance because we have very limited humanitarian support. So more coordination we are needed. And also also as a civil society, also we facilitate refugee humanitarian response from the migrant and diaspora community who are living in Thailand, who are living in Malaysia. Most of the people from Rakhine who are living in Thailand and Malaysia, so they are sending money back to sending money back to the Rakhine. So also and also through civil society, they have very like emergency response. So they also we are facilitating that. So that is also very helpful for helpful the people living in IDP for IDPs sending from remitted money from the Thailand and Malaysia. And also now, if we don't have US funding, so what we are doing is we are more like focused on the UK and the AU to like mobilize the resource as much as we can. But the main important is we have to coordinate. We have to coordinate and respond in Rakhine State, which are the more important when we don't have much funding like before. Thank you. That is my brief about the two questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cho San Lang. It was great information that you shared with us this morning. I would like to now turn to Jamai. So we've heard from Chosun Lang about the current situation on the ground in Rakhine State. Can you share the current ground situation in Kachin State and the escalation of the Burmese military's aerial assault in the area? How have the attacks throughout the state been impacting the ability to carry out your work? And again, I'd also like to ask about the U.S. aid freeze and share how this has impacted the displaced community, if any at all, and how this has impacted your work on the ground providing aid, and how local actors such as yourself been adapting to continue supporting the impacted community.
Thank you, Karen. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I also want to thank the U.S. Campaign for Burma for this opportunity. I think this is a very important time for us to learn about what is going on, what is unfolding in Burma. I would like to first describe the current situation and then go into impact of funding cuts. The conflict in Kachin, it didn't start with the 2021 military coup. We've been in conflict for 6 decades now. We had a little period of relative calm. We had a 17-year ceasefire that ended with the Burma Army initiating attack on the Kachin Independent Army. Since then, the war has resumed again, and the resume war that we call resume war just turned 14 years on June 9th this year. In the past 14 years, the war has brought a lot of suffering to the Kachin and also to other community in our region. Of course, as you know, after the coup in 2021, things got much worse. Fighting has now spread across the country, in Kachin and in other parts of the country, in places that never faced armed conflict before. And the junta regime now relies heavily on the airstrikes. As of June 2025, UNHCR reported around 234 displaced people are in Kachin State, but we know for a fact that the real figure is much higher. Many people are not officially counted because they live in informal shelter. They are constantly on the move and cut off due to internet blackouts, which we have had for a few years now, a couple years in some area. Most of the IDPs are living in an area where fighting is still ongoing, and they face daily threat of being bombed. Some had flees again and again. They have to flee into forest, churches, makeshift shelters, or even under trees. And many have also fled to existing IDP camps. As the conflict is widespread now and spreading into urban area like Bamor, the pressure is not only on the IDP, but also on the community organization that are supporting them, but also on the host community that hosts a huge population of IDP. In our community, we are already struggling with rising price and job losses after the coup and after COVID. And now we are trying to support growing number of displaced families. Some of the area that are hit hard are the education, health, and protection area. With increased IDP population, the school and students have also increased, especially in the area that are now administered by the Kachin Independent Organization. With fighting, a lot of people have also run into the area of Kachin Independent Army. And the school in this area are facing significant increase in students, and with little resources they have, they are overwhelmed. I'll give you one example. In this one boarding school, Landboom boarding school, before the coup, there were about 650 students. After the coup in 2022, it has over 2,000 students now. And this kind of, significant increase in number is not unique to this boarding school. It's across every school in Kachin. And in Kachin, we also have hundreds of community-based education who are also supporting and filling gaps of the education needs. And they are also overwhelmed with the needs from the community. And as you know, the schools are also attacked by the regime. In 2022, religious school in Gotkai was attacked by artillery shelling and injured 4 students. Another area is healthcare. Healthcare is also in crisis. Emergency care, mental health, even basic medicine is really difficult to get access now. And on top of that, healthcare provision and healthcare facility are also being attacked. In April this year, a hospital in Monyin that on monthly basis, treat at least 1,000 malaria patients. That hospital was being bombed, not just one time, 3 times. And they had to close temporarily. And the Burma Army area attack has become more relentless in this day. It's true for Kachin, it's true for across the country. Airstrike has become a regular part of the day for many IDPs. People are hiding under bomb shelters to carry out their daily activity. In some places, the attacks are not just even one time a day, they are several times a day. They are from early morning to night. They are by, the attacks are now by drones, fighter jets. And sometimes, multiple places are attacked at the same time, even in the same region. For example, in Kachin, in August last year, 4 villages were targeted on the same day, and the attack started around midnight. And in addition to health and education, I also like to highlight that religious sites are also being targeted. Since the coup, nearly 200 churches and religious building has been destroyed. And one example in Kachin is a historic church in Bamor called St. Michael Catholic Church. It was destroyed by airstrike in just this year in March. And one of the most heartbreaking attack also happened in November 2024. A military jet bombed Gong Lo Church in Bamor, Momo Township. And in that church, at least 20 displaced families were taking shelters. And when the airstrike happened, 9 people were killed, that including 7 children. And the children actually were playing outside when the fighter jet came, but they ran into the church to hide when they hear the plane. They thought the church would be safer. But the church was directly hit, and 7 children, their life were lost on that day. And the attack on religious site is not unique to the Christian site, but it's also include religious Buddhist and other religious sites as well. As Christian, Kachin, we think that churches are our sanctuary, our safe place, but they are no longer safe because military target them for airstrike because they know the churches and other religious sites host IDP. The airstrike, as you can now see, there's a pattern. Military deliberately targeting civilian and civilian buildings, and it's causing a lot of terrible fear and destruction. Not only to the population that we serve, but also to humanitarian aid workers and healthcare workers. The airstrike is the single most, I would say, biggest risk for the local teams and the people that we are trying to help. Is the greatest threat to our life, and it's also the most significant interruption to the work that we are trying to do. Healthcare worker has also been killed. Many are working under constant threats. we have seen that across the country, over 380 health facility are damaged or destroyed, and more than 140 health worker has been killed. And so these are just a few examples how, local organizations are functioning and trying to help the community in the midst of constant threat from airstrikes and attack from the junta regime. And on top of that, the junta has also cut up phone line and internet in many areas in Kachin. And that also have a huge impact on our effort to support in the front line, and also to collect data for monitoring, for even documentation of human rights violation. That has a huge impact. And another major challenge is getting supplies. The regime checkpoint constantly hold up or block delivery. That's especially they focus on medicines and medical supply. And banking restriction and scrutiny has also put a lot of people at risk, and having a lot of challenges to buy supplies and deliver them to the much needed community. And as you know, there was a earthquake in Mandalay and Sagaing region, and while Kachin is not directly hit by the earthquake, we are close to Sagaing and Mandalay region, so we are also indirectly impacted because the earthquake also damaged roads and disrupted supply route. So overall, we are saying, we are facing perfect storm. We are facing constant attack from the junta regime. The roads are unsafe. Communication is broken. On top of that, because of the coup, the system is also collapsing. So, getting access to the people and making sure that the supplies, the help reach to the people that need the most has become very challenging. So in Myanmar, helping someone at this time is about saving life. So going into the USA funding card, I would say, as Myanmar has been one of the largest recipient of US humanitarian assistance. And just earlier this year, US His Cancer 22 grant, and just in March, they even cut off all the remaining program that they keep for life-saving measure. Those has also been cut off. So for people on the ground, this cut has immediate and really devastating consequences. For Kachin, I will speak more in terms of general funding cut, not specific to the US, but as you know, the funding cut has been from everywhere, right? Not just specific to US. So I'll focus just on funding cut in general. So on in humanitarian assistance, food assistance has been slashed for IDP who has been displaced even before 2021. So as you know, we have two kind of IDP, right? So my colleague from Arakan has also mentioned, we have IDP even before the coup. So before the group that were displaced before the coup were getting assistance, and for vulnerable people like children, elderly, and pregnant women, they used to receive food support. But now even this vulnerable population only receives 60% of the support. And the new IDP people who are displaced after the coup, they are not getting any support at this time. Even in some area when they do get support, it's extremely minimum. So just to give you a little bit of idea of how the support card has impact. So monthly cash support allow one IDP to buy about 5 kg of rice. But in average, people eat about 10 to 20 kg. One person eat 10 to 20 kg of rice monthly. So you can kind of guess that, the the support that they get monthly, it's not enough to for them to eat, let alone, you know, forget about like other like medicines, school supply, other basic hygienic stuff. Even for the food they need to eat, we eat rice, you know, rice is our main staple food, but even to buy rice is not enough. Because of this, you know, desperate need for food and food security, many family in Kachin now they have to make desperate choices. Some are forced to return to conflict area, to their home, to their farm, you know, to look to forage or to look for food. And they are risking arrest, they are risking landmine and even a strike. And some have been killed trying to, you know, when returning to home, they've been killed just trying to survive. On healthcare too, it's also greatly impacted by funding cut. U.S. program, USAID is a very important funder for HIV globally and also for Myanmar. And U.S. funded programs support HIV, TB, and malaria. But this support has also been reduced significantly. And Kachin has the highest HIV rate in Burma. And now people cannot access to regular treatment, HIV treatment in some area. Clinics are running low on medicines, and healthcare providers are already seeing raising infection rates for this communicable disease, malaria, TB, and HIV. And they do have, the healthcare provider have concern that, you know, they will turn into drug resistant. And this crisis, this healthcare challenge in Myanmar, Burma could really turn into a regional public healthcare crisis if we don't control it on time. In education, both formal and non-formal education are impacted. As I has mentioned before, in Kachin area, overwhelmingly majority of you know, school in KIO administrator schools are facing a significant increase in students, and a lot of these schools are now facing and also we have the we also have community run school. So all of these schools are facing impact of funding cut, non-formal education opportunities and training program for youth, including for IDP youth, has some has been suspended. I think one of the most significant impact is also on student who are already studying outside of Myanmar on US funded scholarship programs. Some of these students who are studying abroad are given just 72 hours to find a new sponsor, or they had to drop out. So after years of hard work, you know, they suddenly had to decide or at risk for dropout, and their dreams and, you know, their plan for the future will cut short. And these young people are not just students, they are also, as you know, future of our communities. And they are, especially those who are studying with US funded scholarship in the US, they are also in the future, people who can bridge between, you know, Burma and US. So cutting their education midway is also cutting the future of Burma, but also cutting that, you know, possible tie between our two countries. Emergency and protection program has also been affected. The one that are most vulnerable are women in IDP camps, who are increasingly vulnerable to trafficking, exploitation, and forced marriages. And children are also increasingly vulnerable. And more importantly, people with disability are also left without rehabilitation support. And livelihood and agriculture is also impacted, especially IDP who has been in the camp even before the coup. They have to start focusing on income generations and, you know, development programs. But now some of these programs are cut, and they are not able to make a living. I think my colleague from Arakan has also mentioned four-cut strategy used by the regime. So the four-cut strategy of destroying villages, blocking aid, and burning farmland has also made it very difficult to be self-reliant at this time. And the other area that hit is in area of ethnic and community media. Ethnic media play a very important role in our community. They are the one who have access to our community. They are the one that able to share what is going on in our community to the international, to the national actor. And also they are the one that provide news to local community in our language. They are the one that provide, even healthcare information and civilian protection information to our community. So cutting funding has a huge impact for our on media, has a huge impact on our community. I would also like to say, I think I'm taking a lot of time, but I want to end with the urgent call that we issue on June 9th this year. This is from a statement that is endorsed by 24 Kachin organizations across the world, including Kachin Alliance. On this, we ask international community to take action, immediate action in 3 areas. The first one is to prioritize humanitarian aid and to focus humanitarian aid, especially through local and ethnic actors. We think that it is a critical time and very important time for the international community to put Kachin and other revolutionary areas on their international humanitarian agenda. And long-term support is also needed. Sustained action, especially at least a year-round food assistance at the minimum, is needed for newly and long-term displaced population. And we request that international community reflect their humanitarian responses to evolving needs on the ground, with particular attention to the ERO and resisted control areas. And the second area that we want to call attention to is protection of civilians, particularly more to stop airstrikes and attack on civilians. Especially for the U.S., to take all diplomatic tools available to make sure that there's immediate stop to airstrikes and indiscriminate attack on civilians and civilian infrastructures. U.S. already have full embargo on regime, reinforcing through sanctions on targeted military dealers and state-owned farms that could have a huge impact on the attack, and also making sure that by using diplomatic measures with other countries, other like-minded countries, to make sure there is aviation fuel sanction can be in place. The other one is to support the safe and volunteer and dignified return of IDP who wish to return to their community by providing ongoing monitoring and post-return support, and also to protect the right and dignity of all civilians, especially women, children, and persons with disability. The third area is for continued support in finding sustainable solution for Burma. We think that ongoing international engagement and supports are very important to achieve sustainable solution. And especially, we think that international community should protect those seeking refuge in their own country. For the U.S., this could mean extending protection, their protection for those who are in the country by extending temporary protected status. U.S. can also invest in long-term solution and stability by working together with Myanmar actors and diaspora communities, by making sure that U.S. existing bills and future policy position reflect the will of Myanmar people.
Okay, thank you so much, Gemma.
Thank you.
We are running out of time. I would like to get us to Dr. Ninai Ko, but we definitely can come back to final thoughts and recommendations. So I'd like to turn to you, Dr. Ninai Ko. Now, Jame touched a little bit on the March earthquake and the impacts in Kachin State. So since the March earthquake, can you describe the situation on the ground? What are the current living conditions of IDPs? How is aid being distributed to those in the disaster zones? Now, can you share how this has further impacted the already displaced community and aid distribution? And then additionally, if there's any impact from the US aid freeze and the dismantling of USAID. And then if you can share if any of the aid that was pledged from the US or any of the other countries have reached the impacted communities in the disaster zone, and how local actors such as yourself, in Central Burma adapting to the loss of aid if there has been any. So I will go ahead and I will pull up your presentation. Okay.
Can you zoom? Largest font. Increase font size. Sorry, increase font size. Yes. Hello everybody. Many thanks for giving me this opportunity to express our difficulties inside Myanmar. How to continue supporting the vulnerable community. And I'm Dr. Neko. Actually, I'm not a politician and just a development worker. I became graduate in year 2000. After that, I started my career in development worker in 2012. Actually, my second degree is the Master of Development Study. I like to do development only, but in 2012, I have to start the social cohesion and peace process according to the country requirement in many areas of the Myanmar, except Rakhine, because at that time I have no enough experience and confidence and network like that. At that time, since 2012, I worked very hard dealing with many conservative Muslims and Buddhist Mapata in 969 and something like that. And then, most of them are living in Mon and Karen, and especially in the dry zone now recently affected by the earthquake, serious earthquake like that. And also, I noticed that the origin of the Buddhist teaching originated in the dry zone, like the Pakogu, Zakai, and Manili. As you know, Urirutu is still living in Manili. And they know me very well, and they are waiting to see what I am doing. And doing anything peace and development or anything outside Burma is easier than working inside Myanmar. Very, very difficult. Then in 2019, we reached to Rakhine State with full experience, network, resources, and many, including the financial stability. And then we implemented many, many activities. And then we work again according to the country requirement to the dry zone for earthquake response. Like that. I am the chairperson of Treasurer Development Association, the local NGO, doing peace, harmonious living, and women empowerment for gender inclusion and economic development. And preciously, the private sector doing social business for marketing, social marketing. Like that. The two associations are affiliated each other in mutual help, especially for financial stability. Because as the treasurer, we shouldn't do the profit work, but as the precious lady, we can sustain for economic development like that. And also peace is economic development is very important for peace and reconciliation and harmonious living. We always consider that issue as a cross-cutting approach. Area coverage, many areas, including Rakhine and earthquake affected area and very sensitive and very fragile area. Current project sites, we can cover only 2 townships in Rakhine. This is not because of the ULA or the HDCU. They welcome us, and I will continue the reason why I cannot have a chance to go to other areas, although I have the capacity and the community willingness. That 2 townships in Rakhine, I can do livelihood recovery and humanitarian response only to the conflict-affected victims. The same approach in Shan State, 2 townships. And Sakai and in Mandalay, in earthquake-affected areas, victims, especially victims under the management of religious association, especially the Bodhisattva, the Mabata and the Naisism, who are still having gaps due to many setbacks, especially to international INGOs and international staff. They trust me. It become a big challenge for me. Like that, I will continue. Let's see, current funding agency. Currently, the Treasury and Precious Lady is the implementing partner of 4 INGOs and 1 UN agency. And at the stage of contract preparation with 2 INGOs. Next, please. Our organizations have own strategic plan, yearly, 5-yearly, revise, and adapt. And we have organizational boundary and self-reliance. That's why we established Precious Lady as the main fund source for the emergency measure. And we create our own system, financial independency. We are independent. And adaptive policies, flexible and adaptation. We grow together. Community cohesion, cultural pride, and shared labor with the community, with our staff, with our advisors, and with our networks. And with, finally, international communities which have real understanding to our citizens and people living in Myanmar and the community living in Myanmar. That very difficult and very dangerous situation living in Myanmar. That. And we prepare for anything. We already prepare resilience with our diversity value and contingency plan. We have many contingency plans. Like that. We adopt independent, resourceful, and united approach to survive and grow in every situation. Next slide. This is the chart showing funding status of the Treasury and Precious Lady from 2012 until 2025. Until 2021, the associations mainly get funding from US, but we also have other fund sources, except from Islamic country. I like to mention that. This is important because the Mabada and Naisism is wait and see for that, except from Islamic country. And in 2021, we cannot, our organization, and nobody can predict US policy after 2021. Therefore, we train ourselves to become self-dependent and look for other secure alternative funding. Secure, colorless. And then now we can, in this situation, we can operate independently without US backing. But thank you very much for the United States, because until 2021, I received funding from USA Netherlands, USA Canada, USIP, USIDC grant, and many others like that. Thank you very much. USIP, USAID is the first two organization who introduced NEGO and the community by giving funding. At that time, we are not financially self-sufficient. like that. At that time, I had, because of the request of the US ambassador, I could arrange the meeting with the Mapata chief monks and the ambassador and many like that. And also USIP is the first NGO, USA also the first NGO which introduced the peace education with the religious institution, Buddhist side and the madrasa, madrasa, including the Alima, women madrasa and the non-institution, and giving the curriculum. Very effective and useful for peace. And thank you very much for that. Next slide. And also, USA Netherlands started the Precious Lady as the private sector development. Thank you again for that. And the situation after March up quick. I am living in Myanmar. My team is living in Myanmar. The community still need me. And also my team still need me. They have family. Therefore, I do have to stay in Myanmar and I do have to struggle in Myanmar. Like that. The displaced persons living in the temporary shelters, I mean the earthquake affected areas. And I think Ujo Sanai and know much more than me about the Rakhine State, and I don't want to repeat again. But in the earthquake area, temporary shelters, mostly under management of the religious association, most of them are conservatives and extreme, very dangerous, but very helpful if they trust and they willing to negotiate. I go there as a Muslim because I have no reason to hide my religion like that, because it may trigger some misunderstanding and may affect trust like that. And as some higher living in safer place. The 8. During and after disaster, whether it be natural or man-made, Myanmar communities have no choices. In emergency period, rely only on the local donors and mutual aid within the society. Since everybody already knew that. International aid is critically delayed. And to reach the affected communities in time for the urgent needs. Very delayed. That's right. Yes, we have, but not the serial nuclear bombs. Next slide. How are local groups managing without the US support? Our strength, the strength of the Myanmar community, used to survive the different kinds of crises under pressure, brain drain, many shortages, food, money, stock, and including the labor, youth, like that. Many youths are migrated because of the political instability, as you know. But the capacity of the religious leaders hosting displaced communities are very strong. Very impressive. Resilience of the Myanmar community is very high. I really appreciate. And Myanmar businessmen and local well-wishers are ready to support the community in any emergency period. And Myanmar community already received different kinds of capacity building from many NGOs for many years and now become the skillful persons at the trustworthy situation. I'm sure that. Thank you as the International Funding Agency. Myanmar citizen, thank you very much to International Funding Agency for that, for capacity building at that for many years. Next, please. Question. Yes, US and international aid are helpful for us to some extent, especially for capacity building. Thank you. And question number 2, the US support response was slow and small. Did any aid? Yes, we can still manage. Next slide. Yes. I'm sorry for somewhat you feel uncomfortable, because I do have to mention, and I only expect 2 things from this discussion: the idea or the guidance, how we can survive inside Myanmar to reach the needing community at that in different kinds of crisis situation like that. The first, just as I mentioned, CSO capacity strengthening, good engagement, good excellent, but inside Myanmar is now become more and more impossible because proposal preparation is very, very difficult, very difficult. And in processing time, long, very long, and cannot meet the changing local context. For example, delay budget transfer, delay contract, inflation. We have to contribute much. It's become a bigger burden for us. Timeline. Very rigid criteria to meet the dynamic change and delay communication between the local INGO staff and headquarters and policy makers. I really understand their perspective as a Myanmar citizen because they have weak capacity and also weak capacity to express the on-ground situation and also vulnerable because they have worries about losing jobs. This is not strange. They are human beings. They have family. I understand that. But I need to mention this because this become very, very challenging and now I am in the life-threatening condition. I will continue. Next, please. The INGO staff turnover rate is very high for getting better salary, and they don't have proper orientation and sequences about the project trend. This is also a problem. Too much documentation, very dangerous. Taking photo, attendance, screenshot, and keeping them for a long time. Very, as it becomes the evidence and high risk for our staff and not good. And too much pressure during advocacy, especially to, I don't know how to call, for example, HCCO, ULA, like that, can cause misunderstanding. I said, as a Muslim, I don't want to give pressure to them. They need longer time compared to the other association, especially I'm women. They really feel amazing because I'm a Muslim woman working in the community as a Muslim woman. So I need to be patient until they trust me again and again. I have to pass step by step. They screen me with my religion and ask many questions, serious questions until now. Like that. And also the template, target numbers and indicators of the funding agencies are very, very complicated. Even ourselves. I have male expert, male team, financial expert, financial team, advisors from professional background, different professional backgrounds. Even though for us, it is very, very difficult and took much time to do paperwork and sitting in front of the computer instead of the working in the community like that. Although we want to stay in the community for a long time to help because I like to work living in the Myanmar, inside Myanmar, working with the community instead of working in front of the computer, and my staff also have the same feeling. My staff, the threat. I am Muslim, chairperson, the same in the Precious Lady. I'm not chair, let's see. Another key person, management director, is Buddhist, and the coordinator is Christian. I have diversity threat. My admin director is Kaman, Muslim, Rakhine Muslim, Kaman, and admin manager is Buddhist Rakhine Buddhist, like that. And technical works. Very, very, very hard. You forgot to translate the meaning to the community to fill the template, especially the INGO policy. Too much rely on the information technology, IT, even though the internet connection is unreliable, and unsecure. Very dangerous. Like that. Next slide, please. What should the world do now? In my opinion, while the week wait for the share to be given, the owners of the cave aggressively compete for resources, globally and locally, happening exactly like that. At all level. The action. I like to request to the international community and to the US government to immediately, on behalf of Myanmar citizens, highly appreciated again and again the international support, consideration, and help for a long time. Really acknowledge hardworking Myanmar local staff working in the INGO and UN agency. I understand them well. They are under pressure and they're stuck between the CSO, between the community, and between the INGO. They also have their personal lives. International country and US government, please focus on your own country's safety, stability of your countries, and please favor for global peace, tranquility, and development. I don't want to request more from you all like that. If you all worry about the country Myanmar, please do advocacy. Sometimes money cannot solve all problems, but you can do advocacy at least. Next slide, please. Recommendation. Please advocate to the only one recommendation. Please advocate to international INGO, UN agencies, and fund sources to change the policy from their side before changing the policies of the Myanmar local associations to be applicable, adaptable, simple, and especially to become user-friendly. Not to give too much pressure on Myanmar locals with timeline and target, and do no harm, please. Please, really request it by heart. I am in danger. Not make too much documentation for staff safety, very dangerous. Telephone, even the telephone, we have no privacy. I think you all understand. Please follow safeguarding policy. And learn and digest Myanmar local context. Think globally and act locally with adjustment. I already mentioned in my biography how I adjusted my plan with changing global context. You can analyze in the chart I have presented before like that. If you need, we can share our beneficiary, our coverage, our funding status, if you want. And if you need private discussion, I am warmly welcome, but I'm sorry, I need to screen because this is very critical time for me. Next, please. Recommendation 2, slide 2. Recommendation is only advocacy. Please acknowledge our strength, our capacity of the Myanmar community with respect. One funding agency currently funded Treasure Land and Treasure Land Home, no? Precious Lady. Let's see. I will discuss with official requests. Now I am trying to change the policy by the constructive dialogue. And also please have empathy for gender weakness and religious and ethnic minorities perspective. Very important. Inside Myanmar. Especially, please consider a woman as a woman. Especially for a Muslim woman, please consider a woman as a woman because I am a woman. Within the community, surviving in the risky condition because I am losing my social connections and it's really affecting my social life, and I have to sacrifice many for a long time, for 25 years since I was graduate. I became graduate in 2000, like that. And please understand the human nature of the Myanmar local staff working in the INGO and also the Myanmar CS working in the Myanmar, inside Myanmar. Please understand us. Very dangerous. I really appreciate the person who are working policy changes outside Myanmar like that. But I don't know how to continue inside Myanmar like that. Next, please. Conclusion. As I mentioned, please do advocate to the international funding agencies and UN department, fund sources like that as the USA or the US department like that. Because sometimes those who set the rules are often the first persons to break them. Sometimes, the rules become the dividers instead of the you know very well. She teaches us a lot. Because sometimes rules become the bonds for the weak, but the tools of convenience for the strong. Finally, my principle about survives not by the branch it perches on, but by the strength of its own wings. Thank you very much, and apologize if you see something uncomfortable, because I expect at least the solution how to survive in Myanmar, inside Myanmar, as the local NGO, especially the Muslim women. Very, very difficult. I'm not sure whether I will continue my career, my work in the community inside Myanmar, but I'm sure that I never go to abroad. Even though I still have many charges, because as you know, I am one of the IVLB candidate in 2015. But after 2016, I didn't go to any country because I am exhausted. I feel exhausted. We do repeated conflict, but I shame by myself because I cannot do anything like that. Therefore, since 2016, I didn't go to any abroad like that. So thank you very much for your attention, for the time, and I wish you and peace be upon the wall. Salam alaikum. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nanaiko. I mean, all of our speakers have so much information to share, and I do welcome everybody who is in the audience to reach out to them if they're interested in learning more about their work, or if they're interested in working with them or collaborating with them. You know, they're great individuals, and I highly recommend it. Unfortunately, because we are over the hour, we are going to have to skip the Q&A, but I'd like to invite our speakers to do final thoughts. And I would like to also urge them to keep the thoughts very short. We are at 1 hour, 15 minutes. So Chosan Lang, if you would like to start us off with your quick thoughts, final thoughts for the event.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Hosting also presenting about the general Rakhine State and Southern Chin State. My recommendations for international as well as a local, like I would like to recommend is in particular the Rakhine, in particular the Rakhine states. Rather than waiting for humanitarian corridor from the Bangladesh, we should encourage the local business people to engage more the trade with the Bangladesh, which are helping the civil society to facilitate humanitarian assistance under ULA control areas. Even though there's many limitation, but we can still support the more vulnerable community. And also the migrant people, like people from Rakhine will migrate to Malaysia and Thailand. If people, civil society who are in Thailand or in Malaysia, if they can support the migrant and they can send remittance to their family, it promotes resilience. So, but as you know, I'm in Thai-Burmese border in Thailand, as a migrant living very undocumented migrant living in Thailand is quite challenging, especially in my south. There police are cracking down and arresting many the undocumented people. So it also hardens resilience in Rakhine State. And also the last one I would like to recommend. You know, the in between Bangladesh and Rakhine there is the 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 Rohingya insurgency against ULAA. As in my perspective, it won't have the situations in Rakhine State, because if the ASA and others angles against the Arakan army, which are damaging the relationship between the Rohingyas and Rakhine in Rakhine State who are living. So, and also the Bangladeshi government, they start communicating with the ULAA. So so the currently the Rohingya insurgent group and it has a lot of clash in the borders. And then but the Rohingyas are living in the central Rakhine State and southern Rakhine State is quite very difficult, because the ULA doesn't need to improve the inclusive governance. So so I think it's kind of international community and also Bangladesh government, about the insurgency against the ULA. It won't success the ULA because the ULA very strong army. So I think people living in also that it happened is hardens the repatriation of the Rohingyas. If the Rohingya insurgent are against ULA and also allied with the SAC, and I think that is very not good move. My recommendation will be like advocacy for that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I know, Jame, you spoke a little bit on your recommendations, but can you please share quick final thoughts before we close out our event?
Yes, I think the US and international should continue to support and increase funding for support to Myanmar, but also monitor situation in Myanmar. This is not just for humanitarian causes, but also for issues that could have regional and global impacts. Like I have mentioned about disease control, but also there are also transnational crimes, and also rare earth mining in Kachin could also have impact on global electronic and clean energy market. So these are important security issue and important issue that impact all of us globally. And the funding cut from the US and international community, it should not just be considered as a budget issue. It has larger impact. It is life-threatening crisis for hundreds of thousands of people. And it can also easily erase years of progress that our community have made through your support. And I hope that US and international partner will reconsider the funding cuts and put Myanmar on as a priority on your global humanitarian agenda, because lives depends on it, and because the future of Myanmar at this very critical junction, the future rely on your support. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jame. Dr. Ninaiko, I know you also spoke a bit on your recommendations, but can you also please share final quick thoughts?
Yes, Rishi. May God bless you. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to our speakers for joining us today and sharing your valuable information. It was a lot to take in, and I am so sure you have so much more to share as well. So I highly recommend our audience to reach out to learn more. And I know we have questions in the Q&A box and we cannot get to them today. However, our staff has taken note of them and we can reach out via email with answers from our panelists. So thank you so much. I'd like to hand off to Moo to close us out. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Karen. Thank you so much for our speaker for taking the time to share your vital words, your deep knowledge, and your life experience. And thank you all for your audience for being here, listening and engaging and showing solidarity through your thoughtful intervention with us today. As we close the today's discussion, and let us not forget the voice of the district communities, voices that are too often unheard, but must be placed at the center of everyone who have been suffering. Across the Central Burma, Kachin and Rakhine States, countless people are suffering. They've been displaced, bombed, starved, and neglected. The conditions they face are not just a result for the war or natural disaster, but as a worsened by the symmetric lack of the international action. The Burmese military continues its brutal campaign unchecked. At the same time, the absence of the meaningful global measures, such as the global dance embargo, protection for the refugees from the forced return, and interpreted humanitarian assistance, continue to pose the lives at risk. But today, our speaker did not only speak of the problem, they also share the solution and pathway forward, and also the recommendation for both the individual, government, and also different stakeholders. This is exactly what we aim to do through this Breaking Through the Noise series, to raise the voice of those who are affected, to bring their story to the front, and to advocate for effective and urgent action that's led by the needs of the people on the ground. We encourage all of you to follow up with the organization represented here today. Please support their work, bring their voice into your own advocacy effort. And moreover, if you are new to this space and looking to strengthen your voice, we, the U.S. Campaign for Burma, also offer the advocacy training programs to support the emerging activists and allies. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us, and if you would like to be a part of the journey. Finally, I would like to say that please stay tuned for our next session in the Breaking Through the Noise series, we will be coming in July, where we will continue to amplify the voice of the communities and advocate for justice and protection. Until then, thank you everyone for joining us today, and take care wherever in the world